everybody, I'm gonna play with some vintage trinkets tonight. This is my new line that came out with Prima. I thought I grabbed a little package for you to see, but there's a whole bunch of different ones. I'm just gonna show you one of them right now. So here's one of them. And what you do with these, they're meant to put your picture inside or like a print off, or you could take like a piece of your scrap paper and put it in there, and then you put this little glass dome over the top to get something like this. Okay, this is a project I'm working on for the classes I'm going to be teaching here coming up pretty soon. So that's what they're meant for. But you can do whatever you want. So tonight I'm going to make a couple of little steampunk items. So something like this. This is the one I made a little bit ago, the other day. So what I'm using is I'm going to be using just some metal findings, the trinkets. I'm not going to be using the domes today. So this is what the little dome looks like, and it sets right in the center there. But I'm not going to be using those, so I'm going to put gears and fun stuff in there. What you're going to need is a quick drying or quick solidifying epoxy or resin. I'm using this Extreme Power 5-minute epoxy. So I'm going to mix a little bit of that first, and this epoxy is really easy to use because you just use equal amounts. So I'm going to get a little tray here so I don't make too much of a mess. And I'm not going to get real precise with this because I only need a little bit for now. So I'm just going to put a little drop of this catalyst in there. I love using this as a glue for metals. I normally use scrap dots, but for something like this, that's going to show, where the glue is going to show a little bit, you want to use something that is clear. So another little drop of the epoxy. And you want to do this in a well-ventilated area because this stuff stinks bad. At least this one does. I've got a few, I think 4 other types of epoxies that don't smell as bad. So I'm just going to stir this up. And you want to mix it really, really well. This is a really cheapy-deepy epoxy. It's gonna bubble, it's gonna turn yellow. So this is one that you want to use for like glues and stuff. If you're making jewelry and stuff and you want a clear epoxy, you can get an epoxy that's more clear like this. Or sorry if you can't see that. Alright, so I've mixed it up pretty good. This only has about a minute working time once it's completely mixed, so you want to start using it right away. So I'm going to start off with one of my Vintage Trinkets lockets from the last release, and this little Vintage Findings metal piece here. And I'm just going to take some of this epoxy on my stir stick, and I'm going to put some right on the inside there. Kind of scrape it in there a little bit. It gets very hot, and when I mean very hot, I mean it can burn your fingers hot. So you could tell that you only have a little bit of working time when you start to feel it get really hot or start to get warm. And I'm going to stick this right center on my locket. I don't mind too much if some of the glue seeps out the side because I can always just take it off with one of these little sticks. And I want the glue to be in the middle, or the epoxy to be in the middle a little bit, so I'm not going to scoop any of that out. I'm just going to take my finger here real quick. It's not quite hot yet, so I still got a little bit of working time. So as you can see, it's still kind of a gel, so I'm going to put some right in the middle of this ring. So it's quite filled there. Just slide this ring over a little bit. And then I'm going to take some of these little gears and things from a pocket watch that I took apart. So you can see all these tiny little fun things. And I'm going to just drop some of those in there. So I'm going to have some hanging over the edge a little bit. I'm just going to do something really, this one has kind of a long little end piece on there, so I'm going to take that one out. Just being really messy, just kind of pile it on there. And like I said, you only have about a minute working time with this, so it's already starting to harden, so I'm trying to hurry. I'm sticking all these fun little pieces in there. Do another little gear here. So this is going to end up being very steampunk and fun. And we'll do another little piece right in there. So I'm just dropping a bunch of little goodies in there, and this will completely harden in about 5 minutes. And you'll never be able to get this stuff off of there again. So there's what it looks like so far. I don't know if you can really see it. But it's got a bunch of little gears in there. I'm going to let that dry, or solidify I should say. And you'll see on my tray here, it's probably already almost done there. So I'm going to mix up some more, and this time I'm going to mix it up for the center of this because I'm going to build up some stuff in there. But this time I'm going to add a little bit of glitter, and I'm going to mix it up in my little cups here. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before, equal parts. And I'm going to make about 1 ounce this time. I don't really need that much because that's way too much for this, but I'm probably just going to pour the leftovers into my little tray here to make a gem or something later. Alright, so I'm going to look at these really quick and make sure they look pretty even, which they do, and then I'm just going to scoop out the rest. Here, actually, I think this one's runnier, so that's the one I'm going to scoop out. I'm going to mix them in my cups here. And you could work with just 1 cup. This is just easier for me to measure, so I use 2 cups. And then we're just going to mix that up really well. So mix, mix, mix. Don't worry about bubbles because we're going to fill this up with some funky glitter anyway. Alright, that's pretty well mixed, and I'm going to use some Elements glitter from Art Glitter. So this one is saffron. It's gorgeous. You guys are probably, if you've taken workshops with me, you've probably seen me use this before. But I love it. It's got little fool's gold flakes in there and glitter, and it smells like chicken soup. It's awesome stuff. So you're going to mix that in there really well. Now, anytime you add like glitter or something to your epoxy, it's going to harden a lot faster, so you got to work pretty quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some and start jumping it into the middle of my vintage trinket here. I kind of spilled some over, so I'm just going to kind of wipe it away. I'm going to fill up this whole little tray, and you can see I've already got a little too much in there. Alright, and then the rest of it I'm just going to pour it into my little tray here so I could pop it out and use it later as a gem piece or something. And that way it doesn't really go to waste. Alright, so I'm going to scrape that in there. Anything that goes over the edge I could just scrape off later. Alright, so that's going to harden in just a few minutes. I'm going to set it aside. So while this is still wet, you can see it's starting to shine a little bit because it's starting to dry. I'm going to stick one of these little gear pieces from Tim Holtz and some watch hands right down in the middle. It's going to ooze out a little bit. It's going to ooze through the gears, but that's okay. Just centering it on there. My hands are getting sticky from touching the epoxy a little bit. And then I'm going to try to fit a few of these little gear, itty bitty, nearly microscopic gear pieces in there. And I just want to move this right where I want it. Let's see what else I could kind of stick in there a little. So these little watch parts are a lot of fun to play with. So I'm just sticking them anywhere really. Just kind of want to get them in there before, oops, the epoxy dries all the way. And having nails is definitely beneficial for this kind of thing with these little itty bitty pieces. And I'm going to add a few more little gears in there. see what else I've got. Oh, this piece looks fun. I just tore something off of it. You just want to make sure you're getting some of that epoxy on anything that you place down. Oops. See, these are so tiny you can't even see them, but I'll show you a close-up here soon enough. Alright. I think I could fit couple more little pieces in there. So the glitter really isn't going to be showing a whole lot. But for the little itty bitty spaces where it does show, you'll get a little bit of a sparkle. And I'm just going to get one more piece on there, I'm thinking, if I could fit it. Just to put a little bit of epoxy on the bottom of this piece because I'm not sure it's going to have enough if I just stick it on there like it is. Oh, I already used that piece on here. Oh well. Alright. So, I'm going to let that harden. Only takes a little while. I think this one is just about done, so you'll see it really sticks on there really well. I'm going to let these harden and then I'll show you a close-up. Alright, I've got my pieces all hardened. It only took about 30 seconds after I was finished doing the last video. And here's what it looks like. You'll see I've got a couple of my vintage trinkets and the vintage trinkets tassel hanging from the bottom there. So it looks like that. Kind of fun. And then there's a close-up, hopefully you guys could see this, of all the little gears in there. And then here is the locket. You can kind of see. Isn't that fun? So then now you just have to add a little photo in there, and you'll see that these are super stuck on there. You're never going to get those out of there. So super fun little technique to make little book dangles or a necklace piece or a brooch or whatever you want. You can add a large jump ring up at the top and maybe dangle a little locket from there, or you could dangle this locket from the bottom piece or something. I would probably do it more on the bottom. Or something super fun that I just did. I like to use like filigranes and stuff, and these are just some from Bead Landing. So you can see these. This is a little ring that I made out of this piece here. You guys see I just bent it over a pen. And you can put it on your finger like this, and you can use that epoxy resin. You can cut the top of this locket off and stick it right on there and have a fun little steampunk ring that will have a little photo in there. So how cute would that be? But you can kind of see what it would look like from the side. You'd have to glue it on there really well with that epoxy. So just some super fun ideas. Hope you guys like them and try them out. Once again, I use the Extreme Power 5-minute epoxy. You can get this at any hobby store. And that's about it. And these are the vintage trinkets. Hope you guys like them. And hopefully I'll get to post some more videos like this. Thanks, guys.